hell of a game.
Hey there, beer friends. Welcome to Beer Thursday. We're here with another exciting round, and this one is going to be the best round probably this week for sure, maybe even better than earlier or later rounds. We're going to discuss the fact that there's a possibility that Shayne and Jay may be becoming Swifties. It's true.
That's
and
insane.
In order to really do I keep saying deep dive, but I'm going to say deep dive into this, we have a very special guest. Our friend Haley has joined us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we welcome Haley.
Hello, Haley.
She is our local Taylor Swift expert.
We brought in an expert.
Thank you. I'm so honored.
We're honored. We've never had somebody that's, well, except for the ghost guy, like expert in something. So you know your stuff. You know your Taylor.
Take this job very seriously.
Yes. We're really happy that you agreed to join us. So, Taylor Swift, am I right?
I think you are. No,
I agree. Iconic.
Haley, is she your favorite?
She is definitely my favorite. I've been listening to her since 2007, I believe.
Right. So since her first album.
Yes, it's been a long time. Mm-hmm.
And what did you think when she came out with more poppy sounding songs instead of the country that she started with?
I remember listening and watching to the announcement video of when she put out the single for Red, which was We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together. It was on a talk show, I think, and she did like a little snippet of the song. And I remember thinking, oh, this is different, but it's fun. I think, and then even that album was kind of a whole mesh of genres. She didn't fully transition to pop until the Next album in 1989, but it's such a fantastic album. And listening to her from the start, I was never I wasn't listening to her because she was a country music artist. I was just listening to her because I liked her. I liked her voice. I liked how she wrote songs. I related to a lot of the things that she sang about. So for me, I never really cared what genre she was in, as long as I still liked the music. And I pretty much always still have. I have very, very few skips of songs that are by Taylor Swift.
Love that. It's kind of the way I am with Billy Joel, but don't get me started. That's a completely different subject.
We can do one on Billy too.
Yeah. Well, I started becoming interested in Taylor Swift quite recently. It was fairly recently. I have a really good friend. His daughter is really into Taylor Swift, as is he. And I started listening to it a little bit. I became curious, and I really wanted to really find out what this Taylor Swift person is all about. So I asked Haley, and Haley was nice enough to give me a couple of playlists worth of Taylor Swift music. Which I put on my Amazon music. It's Taylor Swift, Haley's version part 1 and part 2.
Haley's version.
I think what we did is I chose 4-ish, between 3 and 5 songs from every album. And Jay made a list out of them as like a introduction. And I also kind of curated it to be like, these are just knowing what I do about Jay, I was like, these are the songs that I think Jay would find most interesting. And then he actually really gravitated towards a lot more of the pop songs than I predicted he would. So then we had to do a part 2 with more of the pop leading songs.
That was unexpected. I thought I was gonna because when I first heard of her, I think it was Shayne and I were doing the Durango Brothers thing, and we were doing music on the Texas music, and I'd heard of her. I'd heard her solo albums, like her first albums, before anybody really knew who she was, before she exploded. I thought she was really good songwriter, good singer. But then I lost track, and then all of a sudden she's huge, and I didn't really listen to her. Then I kind of bought into the hype, oh, it's Taylor Swift, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, fuck that. It's Taylor Swift. I want to hear more Taylor Swift. I want to know what this is about. So Haley kind of brought me into the fold, and I absolutely fell in love with Taylor Swift.
And Haley, this is years after me trying to tell him how good she is, and him just
It
totally
is
ignoring.
true. It's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Sometimes it takes some time. I have a lot
Yeah.
of friends like that as well. I do consider myself responsible for
Yeah.
transitioning a lot of prior Taylor Swift haters into fans. I do believe it can be done. Almost anyone, as long as they have an open mind about it.
Yes.
One of my friends posted, an old work colleague posted on Facebook like 3 or 4 months ago about how Taylor Swift is so great. And I just commented, agreed. And she goes, yes, Shayne, you were the one that told me back in 2014 that she's a musical genius. And I went, oh, did I? Okay. I was right.
It's very validating.
Yeah.
Just to get started, I feel like this is going to be at least a 2-part round of Beer Thursday because there's so much to talk about here.
How funny would it be for us to allocate 2 or 3 rounds just to Taylor Swift?
Well,
I think it should be our new goal.
I think she's earned it.
I have a good question that we can ask
Okay.
after this toast.
Oh,
It is time for a toast. I know. It seems like
Okay.
it came out of nowhere. No one expected it. I didn't expect it. The thing came and it said, hey, it's toast time.
okay. So
Yeah.
I just want to mention to everybody here that I am drinking garage beer tonight.
Go birds.
Okay.
Exactly. The Kelsey Bros. And by the way, I love, it's genius. It's beer flavored beer, which
Who would have thunk it?
exactly. So, and I find it delightful, and it's only 95 calories, so you can drink a lot of these if you skip a few meals.
You know, Jason and Travis are always
Is-
watching figure. So
Yeah. Shayne, do you have a toast?
I always have a toast. I have so many toasts.
All right.
The devil said, have another round. The angel said, it's time to go home. I said, let's have a drink and talk this over. And they don't tell me no. Cheers.
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 Okay. They didn't like it. All right. Didn't like it. They don't all win. Tried though. Also, I hate you.
Well, at least you tried. I mean, it's important. I mean, yeah.
Trying is half the battle. The other half of the battle is listening to me try.
So I found a lot of Taylor Swift songs I like, and I found that her lyrics are, well, first of all, when she sings, especially the later stuff, it's very conversational.
Yes.
And I love that. I'm like, to me, when I write a song, it just rhymes. It's not like you're having a conversation, and it's so well done the way she writes. And so I made a few notes. Like one of the songs, "Cold as You." What I loved, like the lyrics on that, I loved the line. And now I'm sitting here thinking it through. I've never been anywhere cold as you. I'm like, that's genius.
Okay, let's go back to a verse. I wasn't expecting you to
It
throw
is.
out Golden Day. That's okay.
He's picking out lyrics.
For our
Wow.
listeners, that is off her debut self-titled album, Taylor Swift, that came out when she was like 16 years
So that's
old.
off her
Oh,
first
wow.
album.
That is off her first album. And also to preface this whole conversation, Taylor does write all of her own songs. That is the backbone of her entire career. She does use collaborators that are often producers or other songwriters to help, but they're first and foremost her. She is the one that comes up with the ideas. I know people have argued that the back and forth, and she's had to prove it to people her entire life, but she does write her own songs. And so that album came out when she was 16-ish. And I think my favorite verse in that song is, you put up the walls and paint them all a shade of gray, and I stood there loving you and wished them all away. And you come along with the great little story of a mess of a dreamer with the nerve to adore you. What kind of 16-year-old writes a mess of a dreamer with the nerve to adore you?
Well, that's what I wonder. I'm like, I can't believe, like, I didn't realize she was 16 when I just thought it was genius. I had
Yeah,
no
that album
idea.
came out in 2006. And she was
Wow.
born in 1989.
19 years ago?
Wow.
Yeah,
my
I was
math?
17 when she came out.
That's insane.
She wrote at 16, and there's some songs that predate that, like, I know she said she wrote Our Song in her 8th grade class. I think she was 14 when she wrote Our Song. So that album, a lot of those songs were written when she was very, very young, and I think the only other songwriter that she used on that album is, a woman named Liz Rose, who she has a lot of collaborations with early on in her first 3 albums. I don't know if she's on first 4 albums. She works with Liz Rose a lot.
Wow. So, do you know her backstory? Like, how, I wonder, like, how did she get into this? What has she always been?
Taylor?
Taylor, yeah,
Yeah, I assume Taylor, not Liz Rose,
yeah.
even though I'm
Like,
Yeah,
sure
how long have you
Liz
been
Rose
doing
has
this,
an
Haley?
incredibly interesting story as
yeah.
well. Taylor was born in Reading, Pennsylvania, got a guitar when she was young as a kid. It's a technician, a computer technician, I think, came over at one point while she was playing guitar and taught her, like, some chords, and then kinda became, like, her guitar teacher and helped her play. She moved to Nashville when she was 13 with her whole family, and from then on, really just kinda dedicated her life to trying to get noticed. She would play, like, small gigs, she would sing national anthems, just drop off demos at different recording studios saying, "Hi, I'm Taylor, listen to my demo." And it was when she was playing at the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville that she was noticed by Scott Borchetta, who was creating his wanted to create his own label at the time, and eventually heard Taylor and then brought her on to be the leading artist on the brand new label that he was creating, and
Wow.
everything just ramped up from there.
So let's hit home with this because people think of Taylor, she's just some pop singer slash country. She worked her ass off to get to where she was.
She really
And
did, yeah. She really
yeah,
and if all of her peers that have come out and, been very complimentary about her, said things, like, publicly, always do say that about her, that she is an extremely hard worker. Nobody works like she does, that she wants this. She wants everything about it, and she makes it happen. Her ambition is incredible, it's insane, it's inspiring, honestly.
it really is. And she's such a great role model to the younger people in this world.
Yeah, I agree.
That's amazing.
Yeah, when was that? She
So yeah,
gave all of her road crew like 100 grand each for
Yeah,
for something. I don't think anyone pays their
yeah,
road crews that much.
for the Eras tour, the amount of bonuses that she gave, it was like 190 million, like 195 million total in bonuses to, like, the dancers, the truck drivers, like, the techs, like, anyone that worked behind the scenes. It was like a 195 million, I think, total, and then, yeah, the bonuses that you're talking about for all the truck drivers, it was like an extra 100 grand per truck driver, I wanna say.
An
good
extra 100
lord.
grand. That's
Yeah, on top of what they're already making, which I would assume is pretty good because
Yeah,
she seems to pay everyone in her camp very well. She's very generous with her money and her donations.
that's just insane. I think that's part of the reason I've really started to really fall in love with her music and her is just from what I hear about her just as a person. I mean, that's what a great, what a good lord. She's awesome.
Yeah. There's a lot of haters in the world, but I feel like if you really sit down and, like, learn about her and learn about all the good that she's put out into the world, I feel like the proof is in the pudding.
Yes.
I was one of those people that disliked the switch from country. And even though I wasn't that big of a fan, I was just thinking, she's selling out. She's going pop. And then I don't remember if it was a Grammys, it was something on TV, and it was just her solo with the piano, and she played all too well.
That was the
And I thought,
Grammys.
it was a Grammys. I thought, okay, I'll listen to this. And then just a few bars into it, I was going, okay, this is really good. And then as it
Insane.
went through, I went, wow, this is brilliant. This is astounding. And that was what hooked me, was all too well. But I didn't really get that much into her until my kid, just over the years, she just kept saying, listen to this song, listen to this song, listen to this song. And then it
Mhm.
was when I listened, and I'd listened to Red through several times, thought it was great. And then, but it was Folklore for me. When I heard Folklore, I just thought, okay, she's going to end up being one of the greats ever, I think.
Oh yeah.
Folklore is an insane album, and it's probably the album that I would recommend people listen to that only think that she does like upbeat, fun bubblegum pop music because it came out of nowhere and it's so different than what she'd been doing in recent years. But also, since you mentioned All Too Well, I do have to mention that that is my favorite Taylor Swift song, and it has been since the Red album came out in 2012. And the only reason she performed that song at the Grammys, because it was never a single until she dropped the re-release of Red a couple years ago for the Taylor's version for Red. But when she performed that at the Grammys, it was never a single, but it very quickly became kind of a fan favorite just because it's an amazing song. It's just an incredible ballad. And she put up a poll on one of her social media websites asking her fans what song they wanted her to perform at the Grammys. And, she could have done We Are Never Getting Back
Wow.
Together, like one of the hits. She could have done Red, one of the singles, and the fans unanimously voted that she perform All Too Well. So she did. And I do think it became one of her best live performances she's ever done. And honestly, if you go watch the rehearsal of that, it's almost more powerful than the live version, I think.
Oh, I'm gonna have to find that.
Mhm.
And I remember when the re-release came out and my kid came up to me and she goes, "Hey, there's a 10-minute version of All Too Well." And I'm like, "Oh, 10 minutes? Okay." Is he going to have birds chirping in the background and all that too?
Yeah,
How is she going to
the
do
fun
that?
story about that too is there's a lot of background for that. So after the Red album came out, she was doing an interview or something, talking to a fan on a live, something where she mentioned that her and her co-writer, Liz Rose, who I mentioned also worked a lot on her debut album. She also helped co-write All Too Well. She mentioned that when they wrote that song, it was so long, it was 10 minutes long that they had to edit and cut so much of it out to make it an appropriate length for an album because, like, back then you can't put a 10-minute song on an album like
No.
that. And so then all the fans were immediately like, "Where's the 10-minute version? We want the 10-minute version. Give us the 10-minute version." And she was like, "I don't know. It's probably in a drawer somewhere. I don't know where it is." And so but it always kinda came up as a joke, like, "Oh, we want the
Yeah.
10-minute All Too Well," like, on different circles of the internet, and so when she announced that she was doing Red Taylor's version for the re-recording, in the announcement where she was talking about the deluxe and the vault tracks that she was adding to this album, she said, and one of them is even 10 minutes long. So her releasing that was really kinda like a love letter to the fans. And it's
Sweet.
it's just kind of one of the reasons why she does have such a big fan base that people really gravitate towards her is because just things like that, a lot of the things she does is she really cares about the fans and giving the fans what they want.
I love that.
Wow. And Jay, do you remember? Wasn't that long ago? I don't even remember what our round was about. I don't know the topic. It might have been either a hypothetical or a random topic generator, but it was what movie brings a tear to your eye or something like that. Or maybe you just asked it. And do you remember what my answer was?
I do not.
Well, screw you then. You know what? We're done. We are done.
Friend are you, Jay?
How
No,
dare
I
you?
suck at things. Well, I mean, we've done like 200 and something rounds, so
But it was day before
I can't.
yesterday.
Oh, okay.
No,
All
I was
right.
kidding. You were probably drunk. I was probably drunk. I'm pretty sure. But it was, I said it was the video for the 10-minute version of All Too Well.
Oh, it's
Oh,
great.
okay.
That
I have
it
the
is
poster of it on my wall. It's right
Oh,
there.
nice.
very cool. Yeah, it was.
Well, I think this round deserves a sequel.
It does. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've gone over, but I didn't want to stop it. But
Yeah.
Figured
this
we
is a good
would.
stopping point. It might be a
I
good
feel
place
like this is just an introduction into the
into a whole
introduction.
month.
This go on forever.
Well, let's do that. Let's come back. Can you come back next week, Haley, so that we can have another
I can come back
discussion?
whenever.
So we can have another 10-minute discussion.
My schedule is free.
Well, tell us, dear Beer Thursday person out there listening to podcasts and or Taylor Swift, how much do you love Taylor Swift? And how much do you love Jay? Let us know in the comments. Be sure to subscribe so that next Thursday morning, when we might talk about Taylor Swift again, you get that next musical round of
Beer Thursday.